What's up, YouTube? Bongholio Social Justice Waterpipe here, and we are live in Summit, New Jersey. Let me go move a little forward so I have some better light. We're live in Summit. Yesterday was the election, and the results are in. The voters casted their votes at the ballot box, and Dan Crisofelli, Democratic candidate, who filed a false police report on me for asking questions about his candidacy, won. He won. So that's unfortunate. But we must accept the results of elections. And this is the time to hold people accountable, is at the ballot box. So unfortunately, that's the way they decided to vote. But regardless of the outcome, we have to accept it. These are the times to hold people accountable at the ballot box. So the voters have spoken, and all three Democratic candidates were victorious. Jacqueline beat Delia, Dan beat Kevin, and Chantel beat Tom. And I would propose that national level politics was leveraged by the Democrats here in Summit. Rather than focusing on the community, they did a lot of persuading people's emotions and their hatred toward our current president. And it worked. It worked because a lot of people do not support Donald Trump in this area. I mean, he overwhelmingly won the national election. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I think party politics needs to be dissolved on a local level. I think the party politics format is appropriate for on a national level, and maybe a little less so on a state level. But when you reduce it down to the municipalities, it really should be dissolved, because communities really need to focus on their own community and not try to leverage these national issues and stuff. So across the board, it was a Democratic sweep, and the voters did not hold Dan accountable for creating a fictitious political atmosphere where he was able to position himself as a victim. And ultimately, the voters of Summit decided to vote Democrat across the board. It was very close in the case of Delia versus Jacqueline. I think it was 121 votes that separated the two. So it's if 61 people who had voted for Jacqueline had decided to vote for Delia, she would have came out on top. It was close. It was very close. And in my personal opinion, Delia is everything that's right about an elected official. Her dedication to the community, her dedication and commitment to representing all residents, rolling up her sleeves, digging in and doing the work. That one breaks my heart the most. She's done a lot for this town. I've spoken to a lot of residents, and at least the ones who will speak to me. And the whole Together for Summit team, in my opinion, really kind of saved the direction in which Summit was going into. Now, yes, this is not where I reside. But as a member of the Free Press, that's my job. To go into these different municipalities, document what's occurring, and then present my opinions on what transpires. You know, and then that's what independent journalism is about. The legacy media, the traditional media, you know, nobody would ever dare say such things as, you don't live in this town, you know. But I got a lot of that over the time frame of being here in Summit. And a lot of you might be wondering, why am I wearing a robe? Because it's the only way to feel comfortable tonight. After the upsetting outcome of the election. And these council rooms all across New Jersey, these are like my living room. You know, some people say, oh, it's hard to get up there and get behind the podium and make statements. And I understand that, but for me, it's not. Dave, my brother, I made you a moderator. Yeah, you got the wrench. Dave is one of my favorite subscribers. Great guy. Absolute great guy. We have a lot of similarities. And he's expressed his continued support for me. And it's people like Dave who help put fuel in the tank, you know? When I go in there and I have my subscribers with me and watching, you know, you guys are my back. You have my back, you know? I go into these councils alone. But when I have you guys with me, you guys got my six. So I want to personally give a shout out to Dave. Appreciate all the support. I appreciate your continued interest in everything that I wind up doing in terms of going to these municipalities, getting involved, and then reporting on what I see. So this meeting starts at 7:30. So it'll be starting shortly. Let's see what time it is. It is 7:21. So we got 9 minutes until the start, and then we'll get on with it. Joe, my brother.
I got a question for you.
Absolutely. Come on in.
So you know how you view tape?
Yeah.
We got you on TikTok right now.
You got me on TikTok?
So me and the whole world, we got you on TikTok right now. As they gonna come in soon, we got you on TikTok. And we gonna get our payback. Me and the whole time will get our payback.
Payback against me?
Yo.
Yeah.
I
love Joe. I love Joe. He's the one guy in the audience when I'm speaking who always expresses dissatisfaction. I know you're not joking.
We're not joking.
I know you're not joking. So see, he's doing his own little TikTok and he's filming me. And then this is what we should be doing. We should all be getting engaged and we should all be documenting what takes place, right? This is all part of the process, and I appreciate that. I want to say, Joe, you were my favorite speaker last meeting. You were my favorite speaker. When you got up there, you made me tear.
You know, you're gonna have to record what I gotta say tonight. You know why? I'm so mad that the Democrats lost in Summit. I feel like this election in Summit.
You're upset that the Republicans lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
This whole thing was rigged. We got cheated.
You're upset with the outcome as well?
Yup. Are you upset with the outcome?
Very much so. Very much so.
We got cheated.
I very much am upset.
I feel like personally that people did the last minute voting, or people did that week. I feel like a lot of mail-in votes never got counted.
You know what I think was a big issue with this election here in Summit? I think that the Democrats wound up leveraging these national issues and kind of like people's hatred toward the current president. Mm-hmm. And they didn't necessarily really focus on Summit, which is really what they should have been doing.
And I feel like the one thing is the Democrats don't have a plan of what they're going to do with the homeless people.
They don't. You know why they want it to not succeed? Do you know why they want the homeless people?
My thing is, if they don't have a plan in place, and I'm going to bring it up at the council meeting tonight, I'm going to be like, what plan as Democrats? What plan, since you guys won, what plans do you guys have in place?
They don't have one.
To deal with some homeless people now.
They don't have one.
Because that was Delia. Delia was the one that we put in place.
Do you hear this? Now, Joe is a part of the homeless task force. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Joe is a dedicated community member. He got involved. He found out about the hard work that Delia was doing, and it compelled him to get involved. So Joe was also upset with the outcome. And the thing is, the Democrats don't have a plan. That's the
They
thing.
don't have
They-
they don't have a solid plan of what they're gonna do.
It's,
What
in
they're
my
gonna do.
opinion, they
And
want to break the system.
And watch from now, when kind of get in that seat. Watch from that point all the way to February comes. It's gonna all fall apart.
And that's
they don't
yes.
they don't have a plan
Yes.
on what they're going to do.
He's right.
He's right. They tell the community this is what they're going to do, but they got no solid plan on what they're going to do. The Republicans understand they have a plan. They talk to each other. I talk to them. But what the Democrats have? No solid plan.
Because they want it to fall apart. They want it to crumble because that's what they kind of leverage. The more homeless people, the more poverty, the more these issues is what they leverage because this is how they persuade voters to vote in favor of them because they claim to be the party of all of these issues, but yet they fall completely short. And exactly what you said, they don't have a plan in place.
No,
so progress starts with a plan. You have to have a plan to implement it to get results.
And I'm not gonna help them this time. I'm just gonna watch them. I'm gonna keep doing what Delia did. Delia started. The Democrats, they could figure out a whole plan for once this homeless thing gets out of control. We're all gonna watch.
And you know what, Joe? I would propose that we are pretty much on the same page with a lot of these issues in Summit. I know you expressed your dissatisfaction when I'm speaking, but I am in favor of the Together for Summit team.
I'm thinking to myself, the biggest thing about all these people wanting Summit is the homelessness. See, don't you hear a lot of them come up and they all express their feelings about the homelessness?
Yeah.
The Democrats never been there. I haven't seen. Only guy I seen up there was, and I only saw once, but the one who recorded you, that guy.
Dan?
Yeah, he's running for council. I only saw him once at a council meeting.
I agree. That night on September 3rd, when he went to file the false police report, just because I asked him if he would answer questions about his candidacy, that's the first time I saw him. I had never seen him before.
I haven't seen no other council. I haven't seen no Democrat council person who's running at a council meeting.
I agree. And Chantel, she'll go on Facebook and she'll give a council relay of what took place. And I'm like, you weren't even at the meeting.
Yeah,
like,
meaning, how do you guys going to know what plans to go to the company? What's going on? What?
I agree.
You need a plan. You need to know. You need to hear this. You need to see. You need to know everything. You need to go to a council meeting.
You are 100% correct, Joe. 100% correct.
We're not going to a council meeting day in, day out, and watching this live. Just going home, worrying about everything else, going around house to house. Not once has the Democrats come to my house, knocked on my door.
You hear that? Do you guys hear that? Not once.
Not once. A Republican knocked on my door. A Republican knocked on my door. But not once has a Democrat knocked on my door.
You guys hear what he's saying? This is what I've witnessed. This is what I can see.
And I talked to other people in the town. They said Democrats were so focused on going to other towns, talking about what they're going to do, but instead of focusing on their own town and worry about what they're going to do.
Their only focus is strengthening the Democratic Party on a state level and on a national level. They are not focusing on Summit. That's why party politics should be dissolved in municipalities across New Jersey, and Summit is a great example of that. All they did was leverage the national hatred toward the president, and what they're really trying to do is they're just trying to help their own party for the state and for the country. And they're not focused on Summit, and that's an issue. That's a huge problem.
And that's why in 2020, next year, when it comes time to for us to run for council, I'm putting my name on that ballot to run for council.
Good man, Joe.
I'm going to make a change in the town. If Democrats can't do it, somebody got to do it.
You should. I just decided that I'm going to run for my local election next year as well. I'm tired of not being able to create lasting change from outside the scope. Yeah, it needs to be done from within.
I feel like we all have a voice.
We all do. And that is why I created my channel. My channel is primarily to compel other people to take part and empower them to have their own voice and speak out on the issues that are near and dear to their heart. Yeah. So That's my main focus with what I do. And then when it comes time for me to run, I will use my YouTube and my audience. Right now, I have 3,500 subscribers. I will use that as the platform to expand my message, to try to get in on a council and try to create change like that. But I want to say, Joe, last meeting when you spoke, you made me tear up because you spoke so eloquently, you spoke so passionately, and you addressed all the important things surrounding the situation with the homeless. And you are a good man, Joe.
Something a Democrat can't do. Something a Democrat can't do.
I agree. It's about to start. So yeah, so get in there. I'm gonna go get myself situated, and I'll see you there in a minute.
I see you.
Always appreciate talking to you, Joe. You're a good man.
I'm speaking tonight too.
Good. See, that's Joe. I like Joe. Joe's a good dude. He hates when I talk though. He hates when I talk, which is funny. And if you've seen when he was rolling up, he was filming me and he's TikToking me. Sometimes I'm not sure why he hates me, but I mean we agree on a lot of stuff. But if you notice when I speak, for some reason the camera always winds up catching him in the background, and he's always expressing like a great amount of like dissatisfaction over what I'm saying, or maybe not necessarily what I'm saying, but the way I say it. Maybe I'm very performative, or I use shock value. This is at least what I'm told, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. Let's look at some of the comments here. Jersey Bob, we don't need another hero. We need each other. Absolutely. 1,000%. I could not agree more. What else do we have here? Randall, what's up, brother? Jersey Bob, we as people in the public realm suffer most because of government and its primary... now it's disappearing. Shit, what am I hitting here? We as people in the public realm suffer most because of government and its primary etiquette of continuity of said. What else we got here? Yeah, so we're going to get to it in just a minute. It's just about 7:30. The meeting should be starting. So obviously you guys can hear me. Normally I start off my video just asking for some confirmation that the audio is working, but clearly you guys can hear me. The other thing is, it's kind of like we can't expect these elected representatives to provide us justice. We as a people, we as a community, we have to demand justice. We have to give them justice. That's what we have to do. Vectors toward a like outcome aren't recognized as such when implemented only in result. Yeah, you guys are nailing it. I mean, so as you see, Joe's very upset as well. Joe was a part of the homeless task force, and that is near and dear to his heart, and he's obviously upset as well. So yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame. So if you notice, I got my robe on. We're going comfort mode tonight. And I will be singing a song. Little bit in protest mode. I'm kind of in protest mode, So I didn't trim my beard, didn't dress appropriately. But at the end of the day, what's appropriate? Whatever you feel comfortable and whatever you want to wear, you wear it. So I'm all decked out in my pajamas, and I got my flip-flops on, my slides, because that's what makes me comfortable right now. In the way that the Democratic Party here in Summit distracted all of the real issues and leveraged the emotional persuasion of national issues and our hate and the hatred toward the president, it's all diversion. It's a distraction what they did. So I would argue that that this robe represents the distraction you know, give people to something to focus on, you know, since they're so clearly persuaded by issues of insignificance. You know, municipalities need to deal on the issues within the town, not worrying about satisfying their political party on a state national level. It's not their job. That's not what public service is all about. That's about party affiliation dedication. You know? And that's the problem. You know, if you guys had seen over the months all of the things they were talking about on their Facebook page, none of the issues barely were focusing on Summit. And the ones that were all hit pieces. And I was a part of the hit pieces. They tried to tie me to the Republican Party, which I'm not. Meeting after meeting, I spoke out against the Republican majority council. And the second I started speaking out against the Democrats, Dan Cristofelli attempted to tie me to their party when I'm non-affiliated. You know? Just public persuasion, fictitious lies, false political atmosphere to position himself as a victim. I mean, these are all distractions and diversions. And symbolically, that's why I'm wearing the robe, to represent the distraction from all of the things that take place in party politics. Rami, my boy, I made you a moderator. Yep, you got the wrench. Yeah, I just started figuring out how to do those kinds of things because some of you guys are my favorite viewers. Rami, you are one of them. So, and Jersey Bob, we got to make you a moderator too. After this meeting, I'll go into the settings and I want to make you a moderator too. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all you guys. So, we'll get in there in just a minute. I ain't missing anything, you know. I'm here primarily for the public comment portion. And spoiler alert, I will be performing. I will be playing a song. I have my guitar, and we will be doing a performance. As you know, in Edison, they tried to keep me out of their meetings by banning costumes, props, and performances. It's wild. So, you know, kind of like props is my thing, performance is my thing, you know, so that's what they had attempted to do. And that, I'm sure as a lot of you guys are aware, that's what infamously became known as the flag ban, because anything you held in your hand was considered a prop. And when a New Jersey lawyer went into that meeting holding the American flag and they told him he was going to be removed, he said, "Are you calling this flag a prop?" And they said yes. And they removed him by police. And, you know, not to repeat myself, because I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but I mention this for any of the possible viewers who watch this, who are unaware of what took place along the way. You know, and when I first got into Edison throughout all that, I didn't have the YouTube channel. You know, I didn't create this channel for clicks and views and for monetary gain. I've been operating at a financial loss since day one. Since 2017, when I've involved myself in going to council meetings, speaking out. You know, this YouTube channel has just served as an expansion of my message, as an expansion and an amplifier of my voice, and that's why I started it. All that stuff happened before, you know, and then I realized, I was like, you know, I should be documenting this. I should be preserving my account of what takes place in these municipalities. Let's look at some of these comments here. Blackberry Moon Rocks, nice. Gorilla Skittles, awesome. I just ate a couple of edibles before I came here. I like doing a couple of edibles for a meeting. So, yeah. All right, so we're gonna get in there. And we're going to get in there and we're going to start it up. I got my battery packed, so I'll be able to film everything the whole time. got my battery pack, so we will not be losing battery tonight. A very disappointed outcome. But I appreciate you guys, and let's get started with it. The meeting has just begun. Let's get in there.
It's built into our system. It's a right that we have to vote. A lot of people in our nation don't get that right. Or not our nation, on our planet, don't get that right. We're lucky that we do. And it was great to see that many people come out and express their right through our election process yesterday. And I'm proud of our Summit citizens for doing that. And then the last thing I want to say, around Veterans Day next week, you see a veteran, thank them for their service. It's super, super important. One of the reasons we do get to vote in elections is because of what our veterans do to keep us safe and free. That's a real freedom, and we should thank veterans for providing that. And I want to start with that and thank you, Councilwoman Hamlet, for your service.
Thank you, Council President. I want to say real quick, for those of you in the audience, we have a really special guest speaker, Purple Heart, young gentleman who moved to the towns, and he couldn't be more of a hero to this town, probably the most highly decorated veteran that we have. So if you have an opportunity, it's a real special opportunity. And just as a reminder, kids are allowed to miss school for a couple of events. One is Veterans Day, and the other one is you can do it to take your kids to school or something. So for me, I'm not sure I'm going to be here on Tuesday now. I'm going to be going away after a much long campaign season. But I do recommend, I've invited some of the elementary schools to come, so I think it's really important to show the kids the value of service and honoring our veterans. So.
Yeah. And thank you again, Councilwoman Hamlet. And that is my report. Okay. At this stage, Councilman Pulowski, do we have a historical minute?
We do. This one I did not write. This was written by my favorite history teacher from Southern High School, Art Cottrell. Do you have him?
Art Cottrell.
Jamal, did he retire by the time we got there? Mr. Cottrell? All right.
Oh, was it?
Remember, you're like 8 years older than me.
Don't even say.
Well, it's called A Summit Role in the American Revolution. While there wasn't an area known as Summit during the American Revolution, since it wasn't officially established until 1869, there is an area in the present Summit which played a very important role in the conclusion of our war for independence. The action at the area of the present-day municipal golf course was the site of a hoax perpetrated by General George Washington, which kept the British commander, Sir Henry Clinton, headquartered in New York City, fearful of possible moves by Washington. Clinton had a large force in New York with which he was carefully watching Washington's forces in New Jersey, as well as in New York State and Rhode Island. Meanwhile, the British General Lord Cornwallis was moving his forces into Virginia with the hope of closing out the war in the summer of 1781. In the meantime, Washington and the French General Comte de Rochambeau had been planning a joint campaign against Clinton in New York. As Cornwallis moved his troops in Yorktown, Washington decided to make a major change in his plans and make Cornwallis his target rather than Clinton in New York. Somehow, a hoax had to be developed in order to hold Clinton in New York while Washington and Rochambeau headed south to take on Cornwallis in Virginia. What could be done? It would not be an easy task. Washington circulated rumors of an imminent siege of New York and allowed secret documents and letters portraying this deception to be captured. This was a time when there was a significant number of British spies in New Jersey. To support the misleading reports, Washington had a field near New York City, an area which now holds Summit's municipal golf course, converted into what appeared to be a permanent encampment for a large body of troops, storehouses, and a bakery large enough to supply a daily bread ration for 3,000 men were built in 10 days by French troops stationed there. The brick ovens for the bread were housed within a 66-foot shed located 200 feet east of River Road and a short distance from and parallel to the highway from Elizabeth to Morristown, known then as the King's Highway. I think that's probably now 24. This was an area which the British were familiar with as they had fought in nearby land at the Battle of Springfield the previous summer. The exact site of the bakery, it is believed now, is covered by the present, since 1962, alignment and shoulder of the South Service Road of Interstate 24. Clinton had become convinced that the camp, with its brick ovens gave a sense of permanence, would become the staging area for an attack by Washington on New York City from New Jersey. Clinton decided to strengthen his position in New York and not to send in reinforcements to Cornwallis and Yorktown. When the French Navy under Admiral de Grasse was able to block off the British Navy from bringing supplies to Cornwallis to the Chesapeake Bay area, Washington and Rochambeau were ready to leave for the south. Interestingly, the French troops were not assigned to the campsite at Summit, even though the bakeries were built by French artisans. American troops occupied the Summit site while the bakeries were operated by French bakers, and the bread baked in Summit was sent to the French troops on their march to Virginia. The American and French troops divided into 3 separate groups until they reached Princeton. Then they crossed the Delaware at Trenton and continued south through Philadelphia. The line of march, as the troopers went through Philadelphia, was over 2 miles long. The Army reached Williamsburg in 28 days, a distance of 400 miles from the New Jersey, New York area. The siege of Yorktown, which was to begin shortly after, was to bring the American Revolution to a close, although it took 2 more years before the peace treaty was signed and passed. Clinton had been thoroughly misled and failed to take the steps that would have thwarted Washington's plan and helped the British cause. After the war, Clinton made his writings alluded to the strong camp behind the Passaic River with its French baker, now Summit's golf course, which is one of Summit's 5 revolutionary war sites. Truly, Washington's hopes had played an important role in concluding the war in 1781.
All right.
So think about that the next time you go to the meeting.
We should put a plaque there or something like that. Site of the French bakery. Thank you very much, Councilman Pulaski. All right, we're on to a presentation section of our meeting, and we are lucky enough to have a presentation this evening. I'd like to introduce Gigi Robinson, who's a mental health advocate, and she's going to speak to us today about helping children with chronic illness. So welcome, Ms. Robinson.
Is this good? You guys hear me all right?
That's good.
Okay. I don't do these things. Anyway, so nice to be here. I can't wait to meet all of you, hopefully. I have been in Summit for just over a year. So I have to say, I was born and raised a New Yorker, and I really love Summit a lot. When people ask where I live, I do still say New York, and they say where? And I say Summit, New Jersey. And they say, do you like it? And I'm like, don't tell anyone. I love it. So I just want to say thank you for all the work you're doing. I have loved living here for the past year and hopefully many more to come. Before I introduce myself a little, just by a show of hands, how many of you either live with a chronic illness or know somebody with one? Okay. That seems like a decent amount of people here in this room tonight. So to paint a picture for you, I got diagnosed with a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome when I was 11 years old. And if you haven't heard of that, essentially that's like a hair tie or a rubber band that lost its elasticity, except it's not a rubber band, it's the muscles in my body and the ligaments that hold the joints and all that together. And so my family grew up trying to figure out why I was in so much chronic pain and what was going on with my body, why I kept getting hurt in gym class, why I couldn't continue competitive swimming because my shoulders hurt at the age of 11 years old. Until I went to doctors that figured that out, and they said to my parents, you know, your daughter has this thing called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and she's gonna have to just do things a little differently. Now, when you're an 11-year-old child, and your parents all of a sudden give you a piece of paper that your doctor wrote to give to your gym teacher and your teachers, that basically says you have to use an iPad, a wheeling backpack, the elevator, and you can't play gym class. Imagine what that did to little old me when everybody was looking at me saying, you look fine, nothing's wrong with you. You look like a completely normal person. Why do you get to use the elevator? Why do you get to use the iPad? Why do you get to, not do gym class? And I turned to art at that time. And so if you have a child that is dealing with a health issue, they may start expressing themselves in ways that maybe they're not verbal, maybe they're not direct, and maybe they don't even understand what they're doing, which I found in my many years of doing art that I didn't really realize what I was doing until I was in college, and I was struggling with these same exact issues. I was waking up at 5:30 to commute in Los Angeles out to Cedar Sinai for physical therapy or a doctor's appointment before my 8 a.m. classes. And my teacher said the same thing. Gigi, you look fine. You're managing a full course load, you've got your internships, what is going on? And there was no other way to explain to them what I was struggling with than to document it. So my claim to fame on the internet and now doing public speaking is really showing my struggle online and inspiring other people to advocate for themselves, not in a way that's pushy, not in a way that is asking for attention, but in a way that genuinely makes an impact for me, for other people, and for families across the world. And that's why I wrote my children's book, a kid's book about chronic illness, and that is detailing a lot of my story. The reason I met Bobby at the dog park, which I know this is not the talk, but I love the dog park. It would be really great if you guys can make that happen. But I met Bobby at the dog park and kind of mentioned a little bit about my career, how I work online, how I talk at a lot of places. This is my first council meeting, so it'll be good to know more about how you guys do these things in the future. But I wrote the children's book really to help parents and to help teachers even understand when students are dealing with an invisible illness and how to support them. And really, that is kind of what I just wanted to come here to talk to you about, to see what kind of programs are happening for both teachers, for parents, and for kids struggling with chronic health issues, and hopefully inspire people to push beyond what an illness can look like and really just recognize that invisible health conditions are a challenge for the child, for the parents, and for everyone in their community. So that's really what I have to say. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councilman Blair?
Just one, do you have a YouTube channel or?
Yeah, so you can find me, you can go to my website, it's just my name, GigiRobinson.com. My handle on social media is the @ the word it's, and then Gigi Robinson, so it reads it's Gigi Robinson, but if you just type up Gigi Robinson, you're gonna get someone else, so you have to have the word it's in front of it. And yes, I do have YouTube.
We'll probably be watching your videos all night.
Yeah, and I do also talk a little bit about future of work and kind of how chronic illness inspired me to work for myself the past 5 years, graduating during the pandemic, moving from California, New York to California, back to New York, and now Summit, New Jersey, working for myself here, having different LLCs that I'm running and doing all of this while managing my health. So I love talking about the future of work as it relates to health because I made my own dream possible. So yeah, thank you.
Comments? Councilman Pulaski?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. We'll definitely clip your presentation here and forward it over to the nurses and people at school. And if there's anybody who is suffering from a chronic illness, they'll be able to direct them to you and hopefully help somebody.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming.
I would say, just want to close with, thank you for sharing your story. I know this is kind of what you're doing now, but I bet it wasn't easy to start out with. So really appreciate you doing that and putting yourself out there. particularly around how you link physical health with mental health. And I think a lot of people forget that those two things can really be, are co-joined.
They are.
And so I appreciate you doing that, and I would encourage people to use this as a resource if anyone from our community is, has a person that they know and love who are going through this. So thank you very much.
Of course, and also on the note of mental health, I have a 60-minute sit-down that I did with the JED Foundation. So you can go look up JED Voices, Gigi Robinson, and I sat down there and we talked all about invisible illness, what that means in school, personal life, self-development, relationships, and family. So that might be a helpful resource as well that directly works with their work around suicide prevention and mental health. Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, thank you for that. We now are on to our ordinance for hearing section of our meeting. We do have two that are on the agenda that we're going to talk about. Madam Clerk, will you please read the Capital Projects and Communities Service Ordinance 25-3359?
An ordinance amending the code of the City of Summit, Chapter 35, Development Regulations Ordinance, Article 7, Terminology, various subsections of Article 9, General Zoning Provisions, Article 14, Design and Performance Requirements, and relocating the Development Design Guidelines from Attachment 1 to Part 2 zoning.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Hamlet, I understand there's a story about this ordinance.
Yes, so the planning board at our last meeting decided to hold off on this. They want to add some stormwater management on this. And then there's also some questions around the Tatlock Lake, the field use. So we just wanted an opportunity to look at it with the pending litigation, just to feel it was appropriate. So we're going to do it, hopefully maybe this year, but if not, it's not anything too crazy. So we might be able to do it
So
next year.
are we making a motion to table?
Yes.
All right, so there's a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll table that till the planning board looks at this again. All right, we've got a second ordinance for hearing. Madam Clerk, will you please read the Safety and Health Ordinance 25-3360?
An ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8, Parking, subsection 7-8.7, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. As you just stated, this is 25-3360, and I would like to table this ordinance. Reason being is that on Bedford Road, there's an issue with the location of where we don't want parking. So we want to take another look at it, make sure we get it right.
And this is more than a Scrivener's error?
Yeah, I checked with our city solicitor and it's more Scrivener's error.
Okay, so we'll go back and relook at this then. So I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? We'll table that. Okay, that means we have no ordinances for final consideration. So that we're gonna move on to ordinances for introduction. Madam Clerk, will you please read the first one, Community Program and Parking Services Ordinance ID number 12213.
An ordinance amending Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8, Parking, subsection 7-8.5, parking time limited on certain streets, subsection 7-85B2, time limit parking zones of the code of the City of Summit.
Thank you so much. Councilman Small.
Thank you, Council President. This is ordinance number ID 12213, and this is to allow for additional parking that's open to the public. Our parking services director has requested the council to amend the parking regulation on Park Avenue to convert 4 of the 6 employee permit spaces into 2-hour customer parking spaces. This change would maintain 2 spaces for all-day employee parking and provide 4 spaces for short-term paid parking for customers. I move to introduce this ordinance.
Second.
All right, seeing this is introduced, roll call please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toad? Aye. President Materi.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please read the safety and health ordinance for introduction, number 12238?
An ordinance amending the code, chapter 7, traffic, section 7-8 parking, subsection 7-8.4, stopping or standing prohibited during certain hours on certain streets.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance is going to be put in place or introduced for a hearing because from the area of Tulip Street to Colonial Drive, the visibility is really poor. I actually run that street almost, well, I used to, almost every day. And what happens is, this is right in front of Oakdale, all the way to Tulip. What happens is that the cars are parked and the cars that are coming on oncoming traffic have to go around them. And that creates a hazard for everyone. So we'd like to restrict parking on that street.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlin?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President Materi.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we're moving right along. We're on to the resolution portion of our meeting. We have a few from finance today. Councilwoman Toth, you want to do finance number 1?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Resolution 12228 is a bit of housekeeping. When the Summit Housing Authority separated into its own entity, its payroll, benefits, and pension were no longer under city control. There were a couple of unresolved items that have been carried on the books for years. The city has a receivable of $28,599.66 for pension payments made on the Summit Housing Authority's behalf. And at the same time, the city owes the Summit Housing Authority $27,792.80 for an old health insurance premium. The Summit Housing Authority has paid the city the difference in those amounts, $806.86. So the two entities are even. And this resolution allows the finance department to remove the receivable and clear the account on the general ledger. I move to adopt this resolution.
A second.
All right, do I hear anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this resolution? Would anyone from council like to comment on this resolution? All righty, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Councilwoman Toth, finance number 2.
Thank you, Council President. Resolution 12216 authorizes the city to renew its contract with Millennium Strategies, our grant writing consultant. This is the second one-year extension on its contract, and the maximum fee of $45,600 remains unchanged from 2025. This is for 2026. Through October, Millennium has assisted the city in securing 3 grants totaling $349,000, and that's not a bad return on investment. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Finance number 3, please, Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. Resolution 12202 authorizes the city to contract with Wildcots and Company LLC to perform auditing services for 2026 and into 2027 as needed. The city had put out a request for proposals for these services and received 2 responses. Wildcots was the lower of the 2 bids at $56,000 and is the city's current auditor. They've served us well in the past. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council? All righty, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Last finance resolution, please, Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. Beginning in November each year, the city can move funds between accounts, from those with a surplus to those facing a deficit. This allows us to pay our bills while keeping our budget balance. Resolution 12251 is the first of these. moving a total of $483,545. Most of the transfers stem from staffing. On the surplus side, there are unfilled positions in community services. On the deficit side, police department retirements have led to payouts of vacation and terminal leave that weren't in the budget. There are also overages for utilities, and department heads are investigating these. And finally, we've exceeded our budget for legal services. I move to adopt this resolution by roll call vote.
Second. All right, comments from the public? Comments from council? I would just say our legal services are high this year. We deal with a lot of legal issues, and I think, to be prudent going forward, we live in a litigious world, sadly, that maybe for next year we budget a little more for this. Councilman,
Or we
Smallwood?
could just eliminate frivolous lawsuits like Broad Street West and Itala Place lawsuit.
Out of our control, that's bad. All right, any other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call vote, I apologize.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet? Aye. Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President Wu.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we're on to capital projects and community services. Got a few there. Councilwoman Hamlet, number 1, please.
Thank you, Council President. Sorry. So now I can- This is resolution ID 12236, whereas the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, NJDEP, is administering the Resilient New Jersey Regional Assistance Program to support municipalities in identifying and addressing climate vulnerabilities through comprehensive community-led regional resilience actions plans. Basically, the city will be working with Township of Berkeley Heights, which will serve as the regional team prime, and other participating municipalities, including New Providence, Long Hill, Chatham, Scotch Plains, and Plainfield. The program supports the development of a comprehensive community-led resilience action plan to address climate risks, promote green infrastructure, and support development strategies. And I'd like to move this resolution and perhaps ask Administrator Baldwin to just talk about, because I wasn't involved in that meeting, but I think this is going to be also looking at the Salt Brook area. Just a reminder, she just
Yeah.
gives a little brief description. So
Through you, Council President, Engineer Aaron Schrager and I were on a meeting with various municipalities. There is a resiliency grant through DEP that allows, it specifically calls for municipalities to work together. So you have to have at least 3 municipalities. You also have to have an outside organization. So New Providence kind of got everybody involved. Berkeley Heights is taking the lead on it. Also Long Hill's involved. And so it's to come up with a resiliency plan along the tributaries of the Passaic River, which of course Salt Brook is one. And so all of these communities are affected by these tributaries. So there's going to be continuous meetings. The mayor is also on another, there's a couple of things going on with regard to these types of climate issues. So the mayor's on another coalition with other mayors from other municipalities that Mr. Schrager and I will also be involved with. So we're trying to attack it with the council, with the mayor from all angles to see what we can do to plan better and to try and get grants to help us assist where we can.
Thank you for the information. All right, do I hear a second for this resolution?
Second.
Thank you. Comments from the public? Comments from council? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Capital projects and community services number 2, Councilwoman Hamlet, please.
thank you, Council President. This is Resolution 12218, authorizing the execution of shared services agreement with Summit Board of Education, vehicle maintenance and repair services. This was pending closed session discussion. Give credit to Director Schrager for coordinating this. This is where the Summit Board of Education owns and operates vehicles for school district purposes, which require periodic maintenance and repairs. The city possesses personnel, facilities, and equipment to provide vehicle maintenance and repair services. The parties desire to enter into an agreement pursuant to the Uniform Shared Services and Consolidation Acts to allow the city to provide vehicle maintenance services to the board to achieve efficiencies and cost savings. The city will charge the board at an hourly rate of the city's mechanics, and the agreement should be for 5 years. Either party may terminate the agreement of 90 days notice to the other party. So great job, Director Traeger, getting this done. I'd like to move this resolution.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council?
I would just say one thing.
Yes, please.
Director Traeger has done a really good job at what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Coordinating our, updating our shared services agreements between the Board of Ed. It's really important because sometimes it just gets overlapping and messy. So I think the more of these that we can do, the better off everybody will be in the long run. And this will ultimately be a good thing for the city and for the Board of Ed. So I mentioned.
And I know we do a few of these with the Board of Ed. I mean, we're all one big happy family, obviously, even though they have separate budget than the municipality, as we've talked about ad nauseum. However, there are things that we can do together, and this is obviously a great example of that.
And I would say maybe one we can look to in the future for next year would be like the Tatlock garbage, because I get a lot of complaints after games and things like that. So I think the more things that are in writing, and so we don't have to ask questions, would be helpful.
And Council President.
Yes, Councilman.
We had mentioned this earlier in the year, it would be nice to have an agreement with the Summit Housing Authority as well. You know, they're on our property, sometimes it's vehicles and walkways and different things, so work on that.
Good idea. Other comments? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, last capital projects and community services resolution, Councilwoman Hamlet,
Thank
please.
you, Council President. This is resolution 12237. Whereas due to the resignation of the current building inspector, Adam Sluthick, is necessary to declare a vacancy in the position of a full-time building inspector. Pursuant to policy section 5-1, employment procedure, recruitment vacancy is hereby declared for the position of full-time building inspector in the Department of Community Services. And that authorization is hereby given to the construction official to either offer this position to the next candidate on the eligibility list or to a current employee, or advertise same and provide testing if appropriate. So I'd like to move this resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have anyone from the public who would like to comment? Comments from council? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're at the consent agenda portion of our meeting this evening. Do I hear a motion from any council person who would wish to move the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, comments from the public on anything on the consent agenda? Comments from council?
I just have a quick comment. I just want to
Yes,
ask,
please.
City Administrator. Tammy, I have a question on the authorization of certification for fees of special lien for 104 Beacon. Director Traeger, I know that we have to go there and do routine maintenance because they're the tax situation with that property, but I guess my question is, do we get that money when the lien is released on the property? So there was the current, that was on current tax sale? So if that was on current tax sale, I guess my question would be, why doesn't that person who just got the tax sale have to pay for that now? Why don't we, because they just paid, you know what I mean?
Through you, Council President, we're just certifying this now. So every time that we go out there, we'll hopefully it's not gonna be forever, but forever, however long that we have to. go out there
Public
and
comment
maintain
is coming
properties
right
that
up.
are not maintained,
2 minutes.
which is a separate issue from them not paying their taxes. But we will collect those and we'll have those certified that they'll be put into the tax lien sale. So when somebody purchases the tax lien, they will be paying those fees for them, and then they will collect them. So this is I mean, I guess it's public information. This happens frequently with this property. So somebody buys the tax lien and then they come in time to pay it off, so.
I mean, this
Eventually
property
they'll
is,
pay for it.
it's a problem. I mean, it is, I don't know if the Board of Health needs to go out, but it's constantly in disrepair. And I know our hands are sort of tied, but I mean, the roof is falling out. My children actually live in the house behind, and there's like rodents, and it is unsightly. It's a shame, because it's in a really nice neighborhood, so, it is it's turned into a
Stay
hazard, so
tuned.
I don't know
2
how they
minutes.
handle that.
2 minutes.
Augusta has some ideas or something, but
We can certainly have code enforcement go out and see
Yeah.
if there's any other issues
And I think
besides the not maintaining the
Yeah.
the
I
grass.
guess there's nothing else we can do. Just keep mowing it,
Yes.
but, they like their doors falling off and.
Uh,
Drive by there every day.
All right, Councilman Smallwood.
To that point, is there anyone living in that property? I mean, to me, it sounds like a great opportunity for our house.
Well, we would have to get involved in tax.
So through you again, Council President, we are currently looking into the municipal land use manager and myself, we just started discussing this option that Milburn has codified some process, which I'm looking into with their
Yes,
administrator,
grab a bomb.
where they can
Absolutely
actually
grab a
purchase
bomb.
properties. The
I'm about
issue
to
we
perform.
have is that you have to collect all of your taxes. So if, let's say that we were able to, that we came up with a process, Milburn's using something, so I want to see what that is, because I'd very much like to do that if it's possible for us. We would have to buy the lien out or buy the taxes out, to be able to purchase that property. And then perhaps someone like at our house or another type of affordable housing could come in. But there's a whole process to the tax sale and legally what we're allowed to do, so I have to do some more research on it and see if it's an option for us in the future.
Yeah, because tax liens, you know, the property owner has X amount of time. It's usually what, like 2 years to cover their liens before you can auction the property. So I know it's a long drawn out process and it's done for a reason.
Right, and the
People don't
lien
like to lose
holders,
the property, but
correct, and the lien holders buy them in hopes that they won't pay and then they can take the property. So it's just typically here, somebody always pays off their lien right before that is gonna happen with a 18% premium, so.
okay.
Thanks, Phil, too.
All righty, any other comments from council on the consent agenda? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. All right, thank you, everyone. We're now on to our public comment sector. Thank you, city officials for staying. At this time, would anyone from the public like to make a comment on anything that wasn't on the agenda? I would ask, if you come up, state your name, your address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Give other people an opportunity to speak as well.
Good evening, Council President, Mayor.
Good evening.
Since 3 minutes is only 3 minutes, I can't go on for too long. 3 minutes is good for a song,
It's true.
so I'm gonna do that. I was saddened to find out that you lost Kevin, and that you lost Elliot. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and Tom as well. You guys are the better people. You guys have integrity, and yeah. So this song is about Dan Cristofelli, and its full title is Liar. As you see, I have a Dan as a liar, tapping on my guitar. I really had almost no business trying to play this song because I wrote it today. I had a different song written that I made up a couple days ago, anticipating a different outcome. And unfortunately, it left me scrambling while I was working today to jot down some lyrics and just come up with a different tune. So I'll go for it. When I was speaking at the meeting, he was bitching and just freaking, berating the chief because he did not stop my speech. He had already ran through questions, then ran straight to the detectives. People wanted to get information before the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the boot. His foot fell and the truth took through. Dan's campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. The voters should have said, no way, it's time to go. At the ballot box, someone should have get a vote. This is why you should write a song the same day. At the ballot box, someone should have said no way. Dan had hoped he would acquire more votes, but he was a liar. And I came here today to congratulate Kevin on a win. Dan had added a false component, tried to tie me to his opponent. I hope he never forgets the moment that he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power.
Wrap your song up, please.
Thank you.
Thank you for your song.
So,
Other comments from the public?
I just want to add, it's not over till everything's counted, so. Anyway, I want to say,
Tell me, you just,
here, I just want to say, Bill, everyone has acted with grace and integrity, so thank you very much. Now, points I need to make. When it comes to emergency services, we need to, Summit needs to look into putting, being able to stop. You got that tune in my head now, I can't think. Being able, emergency vehicles need to be able to stop the traffic lights. They need to be able to turn the lights red so that, Lord forgive, there's a family that's trying to cross, they have the light, and you have an emergency vehicle, you have a chase going on, you have whatever the circumstances, and whatever the case, the emergency vehicles need to be able to turn the lights red, okay? So someone needs to, going forward, they need to be able to look into putting that into the budget. Okay? Thank you.
thank you for your comments.
And again, it's not over till it's over.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? All right, I'm gonna close our public comment section of our meeting, and we're on to council member comments and new business. Would anyone like from council like to comment? Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Kalmanson asked me to read this statement in her absence. Congratulations to Summit's own recycling hero, Mimi Zukov. Mimi recently received the Volunteer Citizen Award from the Department of Environmental Protection's Recycling Awards Program. She received this award for her collaboration with Book Smiles to keep used books out of the waste stream. In 2024 alone, Book Smiles collected 21,000 pounds of books from the book barn at Summit's transfer station, which were reused or saved from the waste stream. Through a continuing collaboration with Book Drop, Mimi's actions save Summit money by reducing the tipping fees spent on disposing of these excess books. In addition to chairing the Recycling Advisory Committee, Mimi brings her expertise and volunteerism to the Environmental Commission and the Summit Free Market Steering Committee. So thank you to Mimi for your tireless work and dedication to our city.
Great, that's fantastic news, awesome. Other comments from council members? Oh, Councilman Smallwood.
Thank you. First, I just would like to echo the mayor's comments earlier that I wanted to thank everyone that who came out to vote yesterday, although it wasn't necessarily the outcome that I had hoped for. But I will continue to serve the city of Summit for the rest of my term here, and will encourage others to vote and step up and raise their hand in the future. This is one of the greatest honors I've had. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Councilman Pulaski.
Yeah, so I don't have anything specific on the election, except that, you know, win or lose, it's worth it. And I want to read a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And that's key.
Yeah, that's one of the best quotes about public service ever made. So thank you for sharing that. It's very relevant. Thank you. Other comments from Councilwoman Hamel?
I just have a couple. One, thank you to all the city employees and poll workers who came out this week. It was really, I don't know how you do it. You work all the time, especially having a council meeting. I would highly recommend actually, I think Director Strager recommended maybe in November next year we only have one meeting, which I think that might be a good idea. Because it's hard to come back off, you know, tough campaign season and then you have the election day and then you're as much as we're back here. So I just wanted to mention, thank you. We're still counting the votes, but you know, I'd like to congratulate all the candidates. It seems like the voters voted, you know, for the Democratic Party, and I would hope that you know, we can all work together going forward. So well done. I would like to say that I think something that I'd like to look at is I think that we can all probably agree that the politics this season was a little rough. It's rough on the employees. It's tough on the staff, and it divides neighbors. So I think it would be interesting to look at maybe nonpartisan elections. And I think that the voters, I think we should potentially put it on as a referendum. I think it is a huge detriment to the city staff. It's demoralizing to watch neighbors who are Republicans, Democrats, and Independents arguing and fighting. I think it's just a huge detriment for the town. As someone who's now gone through 2 campaigns, it's just not a good thing. I think you really want to get to vote for the person, not the party. And I'd like to see us try to get that ball across the goal line before our time's up. And let the voters decide. So a couple things I want to accomplish in my next 45 days. I'll keep a running list. I think it's imperative that all of us up here, with the exception of Claire, were elected to overcome Broad Street West. And elections have consequences, right? And there could be a potential that all the work we've done on the overlay zone and getting the property up for sale could be gone. So I've asked for a very specific timeline from the council president in writing. I would like to work with the city clerk and the city administrator, and I've offered to quarterback help. I know Mike's busy working, and I don't know how you have any more hours, but I've offered to single-handedly quarterback that and help in any way I can. It can be my project for the next 45 days if I need something to take my mind off the election. But I think it's really important to explain to the public where we're at in that process. So right now, we just selected a broker. Is that correct, Mike? There is a timeline within that, but I think it's important to share that. Mike, I would just suggest maybe we talk about it at the next council meeting and just put a very specific timeline together. I'm not trying to be a pain, but it's really important to me. That's why I got elected.
It's important to me too.
And then I would say the Salt Brook, Tammy, I just want to see where we're at with the Salt Brook and finding the access to get in there and fix that area.
Through you, council president, it's my understanding that the city solicitor office is drawing up, I don't know if Ron can opine on that. I know we're meeting with Law and Labor tomorrow, but we're
Okay.
drawing up the agreements with the two property owners. I think
Okay.
that's where we're at right
Yeah,
now.
we are.
So we've contacted the property owner has been in contact.
Yes, that I know for a fact.
Okay, that's my
Yes.
concern. Because I think it's really important that we get that, done as well. Just so that everybody knows, we have spent a lot of time in the last 7 to 10 days, I would say working with PSE&G, New Jersey American Water. I don't know if you noticed the last time they paved, there weren't like orange paint, there was not orange paint around the manholes, there weren't cones, it was like a complete disaster in some areas, and I felt badly because there was nothing we could do. But we've expressed sincere dissatisfaction with some of those contractors, and we are requesting, more scrutiny around those inspections from the city because it has become a dangerous situation for a lot of the kids. But we're making progress. Springfield Avenue looks great. So I just want to say thank you to Director Schrager and the team and for coordinating all of that work. So most of it done, a lot of it has been done this week. Lowell and Beekman, so the alternative is we would have to wait till the spring. So I know it was a pain, but we did the best we could. So that's it. I'm speaking.
Thank you. Other comments from council?
Really quick.
Councilman Boyer.
So, Delia, Kevin, and Tom, but right now, particularly Delia and Kevin, I didn't know them when I was elected. But we fought so many battles together for this town. And Delia and Kevin, like myself, Bob, we have children. We spend a lot of time away from our children. Some of the criticism and the hurtful words that you hear online, and some of our kids are in high school and stuff. It affects us, but we do it because we love this town. But then, there's moments like this when there's a potential that you lose an election. You look at your children and there's this gut feeling that you may have lost 2 years, and it's a painful reality. And I thank you both because I see you. I see what both of you have done. And I see the sacrifice that that you both have, with your children. And to the possible, new members of council, congratulations, right? Sometimes the win is pushing you forward. You can win the race, but that same win can turn around and you can lose the race. But whatever the final tally, all who ran, whether win, lose, or draw, will leave a legacy on this town. And so we will greet the new council with open hands if that happens. And we'll press on because there's work that needs to be done. And lastly, I'll say we don't, torch the rule book because the scoreboard tilts against us. We honor the game. Right? We shake hands, cross the aisle, and we get back to work because we're all hilltoppers at the end of the day. So If it happens to go the other way, I just want to say thank you both for your service.
Thank you. Other comments? Yeah, I'll just wrap it up. Two things. One, I wanted to say thank you to DPW, Bob. The dog park at the dump is much nicer. My dogs have been enjoying it. It's been cleaned up. It's been great. It still exists, the Matt Gould Dog Park. If you're ever at the dump, it's a nice spot to bring your dogs.
But it won't be open this weekend because of the free market.
Okay. Yeah, and then follow up on Councilwoman Hamlet's comment. We will see something on the agenda for next meeting around the Broad Street West property, and it's a frustratingly slow process. I get it. And I get the frustration. But you keep pushing the rock up the hill as fast as you can go. Some people may not be happy with the speed the rock goes up the hill, and I don't know what to tell them. As Teddy Roosevelt said, you do your best. And, you know, if people don't like it, you know, I'll take the criticism, but it will happen. And, you know, we'll have a timeline and people will know about it. And, you know, we are committed to transparency around the process, and people will know what we're doing. And like I said, we try to be transparent from the start around this thing, and we will continue to do so. So that is my comment.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Small.
I would like to enthusiastically make a motion to adjourn.
I didn't know you did this all the time.
Second.
Really? Oh my gosh. Okay, do I, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Fastest council meeting I've ever been to.
Hour and 7.
All right, we're gonna play this song again outside because I screwed it up. All right, the meeting is over. Now, normally I like to speak to all the elected officials, but we're gonna go outside and I'm gonna play this song again, and so you guys can hear it because I screwed the whole thing up. So let's go get a good video right now of me out front. And we'll do it like that. All right. When I was speaking at the meeting, he was bitching and just freaking, berating the chief because he did not stop my speech. He had already ran for questions and then ran straight to the detectives. People wanted to get information before the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the boot. His tall tales fell and the truth took root. Dan's campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. The voters should have said no. Pack it up, it's time to go. At the ballot box, someone should have said no way. Dan had hoped he would acquire more votes, but he was a liar. And I came here to congratulate Kevin on the win. Dan had added a false component, tried to tie me to his opponent. I hope he never forgets the moment when he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power. Yeah, so it's supposed to be more like that, you know? But I messed it all up completely. So I'm gonna serenade them as they're walking out. Let's serenade the council. Let's serenade the council, man. I was all fucked up with this one. Yeah, I wrote the fucking song today. I had no time, but let's try to get a good shot of them coming out with me playing. When I was speaking at the meeting, he was bitching and just freaking berating the chief because he did not stop my speech. He had already ran for questions and then ran straight to the detectives when people wanted to get information before the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the food. His tall tales fell and the truth took root. Dan's campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. The voters should have said, no, pack it up, it's time to go. At the ballot box, someone should have said, no way. Dan had hoped he would acquire some more votes, but he was a liar. And I came here to congratulate Kevin on the win. Dan had added the false component, trying to tie me to his opponent. I hope he never forgets the moment that he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power. Yeah, it was supposed to be more like that. It was supposed to be more like that. All right, so that was round one of them coming out. Let's get round two. Let's get round two when they come out, all right? What's up, Huntington? When I was speaking at the meeting, Dan was bitching and just freaking berating the chief because he would not stop my speech. He had already ran for questions and then ran straight to the detectives. People wanted to get information before the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the food. His tall tales fell and the truth took root. I messed it up. It was supposed to be more like his campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. Some voters would have said, pack it up, it's time to go. At the ballot box, someone should have said, no way. Dan had hoped he would acquire more votes, but he was a liar. And I came here to congratulate Kevin on the win. Dan had added a false component, tried to tie me to his opponent. I hope he never forgets the moment that he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power. A little bit more like that. That's why you don't try to play. See, these are my people. These are my people.
Thank you.
Delia
Thanks
is
for
the
coming.
best.
Thank you for coming.
Delia is everything that an elected official is supposed to be. Same thing with Mr. McTurnan. These people have integrity. And hopefully, you know, if I'm so heartbroken, you work so hard for this community. And McTurnan, man, you have more integrity than most of these people in this room. Same thing with you, Kevin. I really appreciate you guys. You guys have always,
Like I said, thank you for keeping an eye out. Like I said, I told you, you call balls and strikes. We need guys to do that. And so thank you for
I
doing
agree. I
that.
mean, if you ever watch my videos, I'm always speaking about both sides. National level politics, whatever. Locally, it really should resolve the whole party politics. Democrats constantly leverage these national issues, constantly try to persuade people's emotions to the hatred to the president. You know, they barely were ever focusing on Summit, and when they did, it was hit pieces. I was a part of their hit pieces, you know? If they did away with that, if they dissolved the local party politics, maybe there'd be a better chance for like people to focus on what's important.
Yeah, you're probably right. Something to consider, I agree.
Listen, you came after us in April.
You got to be respectful. Every single one of you.
I appreciate you doing both sides.
I appreciate you, Kevin.
Thank you.
See, that's what integrity looks like. That is what integrity looks like. They are good people. And in order to be a good elected official, you have to be a good person. You know, see, that's the thing. And they all, you know, see, they stopped to hear the song because they enjoyed it. You know, I'm just so upset. We're gonna do it one more time though. When When I was speaking at the meeting, he was bitching and just freaking berating the chief because he did not stop my speech. He had already ran for questions and then ran straight to the detectives when people wanted to get information before the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the boot. His tall tales fell and the truth took root. Dan's campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. The voters should have said, "Now pack it up, it's time to go." At the ballot box, someone should have said, "No way." Dan had hoped he would acquire more votes, but he was a liar, and I came here to congratulate Kevin on the win. Dan had added a false component, trying to tie me to his opponent. I hope he never forgets the moment when he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power. All right, we're gonna do it one more time just so I can maybe get a good clip for a video that I wind up making. When I was speaking at the meeting, Dan was bitching and just freaking berating the chief because he would not stop my speech. He had already ran for questions and then ran straight to the detectives when people wanted to get information for the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the boot. His tall tales fell and the truth took root. Dan's campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. The voters should have said, "No, pack it up, it's time to go." At the ballot box, someone should have said, "No way." Dan had hoped he would acquire more votes, but he was a liar, and I came here to congratulate Kevin on the win. Dan had added a false component, tried to tie me to his opponent. I hope that he never forgets the moment that he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power. Fucking ridiculous, man. Absolute ridiculous. I'm upset that I fucked the song up. I'm upset that the Together for Summit team lost. You know? Fucking whole thing is disappointing. The whole thing is disappointing. What can you say? Whole thing is disappointing, guys. What do we have here? I want to see what Huntington said, one of my favorite subscribers. You have to invite Huntington Township to sing before our Board of Supervisors. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm down. I am down. So disappointed. You know what? I made a song up about Mike and burned him. He told me that night that I have a great voice. You know what I mean? Like, that's good people to me, man. That's good people, you know? But let's do that, Huntington. Let's literally do that. Let's literally do that. We're going to do one more version, right? Just for possible video purposes later on. I can decide which version I like the best, but let's play it one more time. When I was speaking at the meeting, He was bitching and just freaking berated the chief because he did not stop my speech. He had already ran for questions and then ran straight to the detectives when people wanted to get information before the election. At the ballot box, someone should have gave him the boot. His tall tales fell and the truth took root. Dan's campaign should have died at the moment that he lied. The voters should have said, no, pack it up, it's time to go. At the ballot box, someone should have said, no way. Dan had hoped he would acquire more votes, but he was a liar, and I came here to congratulate Kevin on the win. Dan had added a false component, trying to tie me to his opponent. I hope he never forgets the moment that he lied. Hoping to acquire some more votes, he manufactured a complete hoax. That type of coward should never seek elected power. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Oh, disappointing end to the election here. You know, like I said, I don't give a shit about Republican. I don't give a shit about Democrat. I do not. I care about the people. I've been calling out both sides for years. It's about the integrity of the individuals. You know, they really got to dissolve party politics on a local level. The shit is vile. It really is. You know, you got to be willing to call out both sides. And I don't see enough people doing that. Got to do it. You got to do it. We have like nerfed the entire world where people don't want to say stuff. Bye. It's the mayor. Wonderful lady. You know, there were some good personalities here in Summit. You know, but Huntington. Where is Huntington? Where is Huntington? Let's do that. Good guy activism. What's up, brother? What's up, brother? Glad to see you in the chat. But yeah, thank you for the song. I wrote the song today, man. While I'm at work, I'm jotting down lyrics. You know, I had no time to prepare for it. You know, like that's why I said I had no business trying to play this because I wrote it today. And I'm reading off of a notepad because I didn't have time to memorize the lyrics. When I play a song at a council meeting, I memorize it. I'll spend a couple days memorizing it so I can give a good performance because I love political theater because that's what these faces, these politicians who are the face, right? It's all political theater. That's why I treat these council meetings like it's my art gallery, you know, or it's like my drama class. You know, since they do political theater, I do political theater. Since they're constantly performing, I perform. You know, that's the whole point of it. But where's Huntington? Is Huntington, New Jersey? And, you know, New Jersey, there's still places in New Jersey. Yes, I did see you shout me out, good guy, and I appreciate that. In fact, I pinned your comment on my last video. When I saw you comment, I pinned it because I love your channel. I've actually been watching you for a long time before we actually had the opportunity to meet each other. And you're mad cool, you know. I feel like we kind of hit it off right away. Similar pasts. Adams County, PA, near Gettysburg. All right, I'll have to see how far that is from me. How far is that from the border of Pennsylvania? Like once you hit Pennsylvania, how far is that? Because that'll roughly give me an idea of how far you are from me. So I'm not totally familiar with Pennsylvania. And if you noticed, I wore my robe tonight. I wore my robe tonight because I treat these meetings like they're my living room. Right? You got to get comfortable at these meetings. We the people, we own these rooms, right? We own these buildings. I mean, they don't own the buildings. They don't own them. They belong to the public. So if you want to go to a meeting and you want to wear a robe, wear a fucking robe. You want to take your shoes off? Take your shoes off. You know? I mean, we bear the responsibility of the things we say and how we express ourselves. So nobody should be trying to stop you or create decorum rules or ban you for certain things. Decorum makes no sense. We have a First Amendment right. We have a First Amendment right to speech and expression. You know? And since there's so much distractions in party politics, and they thrive on distraction, this robe is symbolic for the distractions that come along with party politics during the election. Everybody is distracted away from the important issues, from what matters. So that's the point of this robe. It's meant to create a distraction. Because people are so easily persuaded with their emotions, you know? And I don't mind people writing me off. I really, really don't. I don't care if people don't take me seriously. However people treat you in life is a reflection of their own character. Whatever they say about you, and if it's negative stuff, it's usually a part of themselves that need healing. I like making people uncomfortable. If you're gonna hate me, I don't want you to hate me for like one or two things. I want you to hate me across the board. Because then at some point you realize you're projecting some sort of a hatred that you have internally, and you know, that's what that is. You know, I notice I don't get an awful amount of hate on my videos on my channel. And I think the reason why is because the channel is meant as an expansion of my voice. I know I've said this before, but for anybody who may be watching this for the first time or who haven't heard me say this before, the point of my channel is to serve as I want to compel people to take part in local politics. I want to make average people who normally don't attend meetings to take part and get involved. You know, that's why I like to do the performances. That's why I like to make the music videos. That's why I like to play songs and stuff. Provide a little bit of entertainment into a space that traditionally is like boring and dull. Taking part in your town council meetings shouldn't be boring. I mean, I know the meetings could be boring for most people, but I'm like, these rooms should be filled. They should be filled with capacity at every single meeting across the entire state and every single municipality. The meetings should be full. You know, they only have a capacity of probably like less than 100 people in this room. I don't know how many people live in Summit, but I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's 5 people there today. 5 people. And they have a 3-minute comment period time to speak on. You can't speak in 3 minutes. I mean, tell me you don't give a shit about the public's input without telling me you don't give a shit about the public's input. You make 5 minutes, 3 minutes speaking time. You know, I think it's abominable. Oops, a little windy. I think it's fucked up, and I think it shows that they don't care about your input. They don't care about what you have to say. And 3 minutes is just not enough. You know, people always, you know, try to argue that it is enough. You know, they say you could, or you could email your elected officials, this and that or whatever. People come to meetings to put things down on public record. If you don't have an adequate amount of time to speak at the podium, I mean, you're under the gun. You're under the gun. One of the things that really, really aches me is when these townships, these municipalities don't have a clock showing the public. I think that's messed up. You don't have a clock showing the people at the podium how much time they have to speak? Why? You know, transparency starts at the small things. You know, that shit matters to me. It's very important. How can you expect the public to think that that you have accountability and transparency when you don't even show a clock. That's the thing that pisses me off about Plainfield when I've been going to these meetings in Plainfield and shit is heating up over there. They won't even turn the clock around. The clerk's looking at the clock. Like, why? I mean, I suggested they just, at least somebody take a phone out and put on a goddamn timer and turn it around. You know, you don't have the money to invest in a clock during public comments. The part of the meeting where the public involves themselves. You don't go on Amazon and buy a $15 clock. I don't get that. I don't get that. I think people deserve better than that. They deserve better than that. You know, but these councils all across the state, all across the country, they're the ones who decide how much they get paid. They give themselves pay increases and shit. They have no problem giving themselves more money for doing part-time work, but they don't even have a goddamn clock. I mean, come on. Like, what? So, yeah, that's about it. Just going to smoke this cigarette, and then I'm going to end this. Let's look at some of the comments. In this day and age, our public meetings should be packed. Yes. Absolutely, Rami. Oh, Huntington, you're deep Pennsylvania. Holy shit. Holy shit. That would be like an overnight thing. That would be like I'd have to get a room for the night. You know, it would be nice to do that one day. I would like to meet some of my faithful subscribers. Of persons, self-willed, lacking restraint, late Old English, also of a region. Yep, disappearing. Unpeopled, without civilization, of wind, weather, 1200. For the glory of Christ. That's another one of my faithful subscribers I always see. A couple of you guys, I always look forward to your comments. You know, I always look forward to seeing you in the chat. You know, I appreciate you guys with the continued support. I really do. I go in there by myself, but you guys are back. You guys got my six. You know? So I appreciate that. It's my press pass that I always have on me to identify myself as a member of the free press. See, I have one under here as well that's a little different. Let's see if I can pull it out. I can't. I have another one where my face is all bloody. And it says, please don't harm me. I'm a member of the free press reporting on the news. But you guys get the idea. I always wear a press pass on me to identify myself as a member of the free press, although I don't give my name and I don't give my address. Where did you obtain your press pass? I made it online. Can you see that? Bongholio Social Justice Waterpipe. And it's a good thing I did have this on September 3rd when I asked Dan if he would answer questions about his candidacy when he decided to go run to the police and say I threatened, harassed, and followed him to his car. You know? It still ekes me that, man, he didn't know I was recording. He didn't know I had the whole interaction on film. Yeah, we're all journalists. We have a right to freedom of the press. Any one of us have the right to, you know, report on the news. You know, and I think with the legacy media, the traditional media, whatever you want to call it, they have no credibility, no reputation. And I personally love independent journalists. They're my favorite, you know. And every year there seems to be a little bit of an increase in people who start reporting on the news as individuals, as independents. And we need that. We need that because we're not operating within a confinement. We're not trying to satisfy state legislators because the state is in bed with the media, you know. And it's a whole system of corruption. And corruption breeds power, it breeds greed, and it breeds ignorance. And it's manipulative. You know, I don't have a boss. I am the boss. I don't have to satisfy one political party because they're both corrupt. I mean, it's that simple. Every single one of you guys who is watching, all of you, even if you've never even taken part in your own independent journalism journey or anything like that, you all, right off the bat, have more credibility, a better reputation than the traditional media, you know? I encourage anybody who ever wants to pick up a camera, take notes at a meeting, you know, report on news for your hometown. You know, and that's another reason why I love coming to these municipalities. You always find individuals who are willing to tell you all the dirt. You know, you let them know that you'll make yourself available to them. Let them know that, you know, they can remain confidential. All information that people share with me is confidential. You know, I don't tell anybody who's talking to me about what. Every town has people who want to give you the dirt. They want to tell you what's going on. And I love going to these towns that I don't live in. I love going to these towns that I don't live or work in because you can't touch me in that town. There is no political retaliation if you don't live or work in the town, you know? And in your town, make sure you've tamed your police. Make sure they know who you are. You know, make sure your elected officials know who you are. You know, and everything in life should be evolving, right? As I stated before, I didn't start this YouTube channel for any sort of monetary gain. I've been operating at a financial loss since day one. I've been doing this since 2017. I've been involved in work that went national in Edison. Actually, even Germany reported on it. The UK reported on it. Because when they banned the American flag in Edison, it became huge news. And they did that specifically because of me. They didn't want people holding props. You know? And then I decided I'd start the channel after that. It became apparent that I need to be documenting these things. Because when you're unconventional and you get involved, you can really shake things up. So my plan to evolve from what I'm doing is not to continue to, you know, making videos of going to towns and everything like that. For the time being, I will continue to do that. But my plan is for next year, for election time, this time next year, from 1 year from now, I'm going to attempt to get on my own town council. That's the plan, right? And I don't have the resources that like the Democratic machine does in New Jersey, right? So I have to create my own resource. I have to create my own way of being able to get my message out. So I will be using my YouTube channel to help run for my town council. That's the direction I'm going in. And I don't want money. I want change. I have a full-time job. I've had a full-time job my whole life. Change is what I'm looking for. And it's come to the realization that the only way to really make and create lasting change is to do it from within. People like me, people like Huntington, people like Rami, Randall, Dave, all you guys. We're the people who are supposed to be in positions like this. People like us. Not these people that seek out like a career in politics. You know? And some of these local people that get into it just to, you know, advance, to get to like state level politics and, you know, shit like that. Yeah, it's become so compromised. You become so compromised by the system. So when I run next year for my town council, I will have to do it as an independent. Neither political party would never put me on their ticket. I understand that. And it's going to be difficult to try to win as an independent. And there ain't no amount of shaming that people could try to do that'll penetrate. Because when you know what you're doing and you're authentic, haters don't penetrate. They don't. And there is a plethora, a host of things that people will pull out from my past to try to smear me. There's so much of it that people will realize it's a distraction when they start smearing me and attacking me. You know, I've never ran. And when I go into towns, people, you know, they smear me when I get involved and they try to attack my reputation and my credibility. And it's all fine. I'm fine with that. You know, I'm more than cut out to deal with shit like that, right? I've dealt with worse, much better people in my life. You know, there ain't no holding me down when it comes to that shit. There just isn't. So I will keep doing what I'm doing. I will keep being myself. I will keep being unconventional, you know. And then when it comes time for them to do these hit pieces on me and everything like that, they'll have more than enough ammo. They already do. I'm a dude who dressed up in a Bond costume, went to meetings for the entire year of 2019, singing songs. And there's plenty of stuff that people could try to spin and say, oh, this guy's a troublemaker. He's a agitator. He's a disruptor. Plenty of stuff. You know, so the more stuff that people have to try to smear you with like that, when it's actually not real dirt, you know, it becomes very obvious to people, you know. But voters are not stupid. You know, they're informed, intelligent people, and they can see right through that shit, you know. It's the people that are so worried about, like, stepping over some sort of a line, some imaginary line that they've formulated in their head that they can't do. That's not good for public service. That's not good for, like, human interaction. You know, I am who I am. You get what you see. And there needs to be more people like me and like you guys in positions like this. That's what really needs to happen. You know, and we can't expect people who are elected officials and representatives, we can't expect them to give us justice or do the right thing. We just can't. It's up to us as a community to do these things, to give them justice. You know, you want accountability? Join your local town council and make sure they all remain accountable and do it from within. So that's the direction I'll be moving in. For the time being, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Keep going to municipalities where I see issues. You know, keep responding to people that reach out and tell me, you know, you got to come to my town. This is what they're doing. You know. So the next meeting I will be at my own town council on November 10th. And I'm going to start going to every single meeting in my own town. And as you all know, when I go to meetings, I don't give my name, I don't give my address. Because it's a Fourth Amendment violation for somebody to demand who you are. Oh, show me your papers. Show me your papers. No. You have every right to remain private. Anonymous communications are permissible with government. And I have my own personal proof of that. My last court case, Michael Vingileos versus the state of New Jersey, the judge ruled in that case that anonymous communications are permissible. That's when I got arrested in Lavalette for filming a meeting. For filming a meeting. Imagine that kind of secrecy that a town tries to operate under, where they don't allow you to film. Supreme Court case in New Jersey, Torres versus Pine Hill, guarantees it's a common law right to film these meetings. But Lavalette says you need permission. You need pre-authorization for the First Amendment, is what they say. So for any of you who are unfamiliar with that case, I got pre-approval in an anonymous email where I didn't state my name, didn't give them my identity. And they sent me back the guidelines and said, have a great weekend. And those communications were uncontroverted in my case. Lavalette's position was that they didn't serve as permission. It was a general guidelines that they were giving me. And the judge didn't go for it because he said anonymous communications are permissible. At no time did they attempt to identify me, right? So I have a lawsuit of 8 counts of civil rights violations. That was filed on April 1st, 2025. April Fools, actually. The day we recognized fools. That's when that lawsuit was filed. If you ever want to look at it, type my name in, Michael Vingeleos and Lavalette. There's articles all over the state that reported on it after the lawsuit was filed. And I think it's NJ.com or NJ12, one of the bigger media outlets. My actual lawsuit, you can read the entire thing. You can read it. It was posted. And in that situation, the original judge recused himself. He didn't want to touch it. The original prosecutor recused themselves. They didn't want to touch it because they knew it was an illegal, unlawful arrest. So Lavalette wound up hiring a special prosecutor named Evan Crook. Crook was his last name. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. From Malamut Law. Special counsel to try to prosecute me illegally, unlawfully. And they paid this guy $17,500. And I whooped their ass. And I represented myself pro se. You know, it's not every day that something like that happens. But the issue with that one was the mayor of Lavalette, Walter LaCicero, ordered the arrest of me. And you know who put the handcuffs on me? His son, Sergeant Adam LaCicero. That's right. And when I was being booked, they had to figure out how are we writing this up. So Adam called his brother, Christian, who's the chief of police. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. I was arrested by an entire family of thugs operating under the color of law. And the reason why I was there to speak about the absentee of beach mats for the disabled. You know those mobile beach mats that go out to the sand so people with disabilities can, you know, take part in the pleasures that we can as able-bodied people? That's why I was there, to speak about that. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And again, just like the Edison flag banning thing, me being arrested in Lavalette, all this shit happened before I started the channel. Because the way I take part in this stuff is not for the attention. I don't look for acknowledgement for doing the right thing, but I do expect people to acknowledge when they're doing the wrong thing. Whether they're a police officer, someone in law enforcement, an elected official, I expect you to do the right thing. You know, but again, that was the reason why I started my YouTube channel. I realized I got to start documenting this shit. I need to have a preserved video of everything that I'm doing, just even as a means of protection. So I guess that's about it. It was a short meeting. It was the shortest meeting I've ever been to in Summit because these meetings go on long. So I appreciate all you guys. I'm going to start heading home. And yeah, Mafia is right. $17,500. They paid him. I Oprah requested it. And that Malamut Law, that's their job. They're supposed they on their website it says that they handle complex municipal cases. So they considered my case a complex municipal case where they needed to call in the big guns. And fucking Bong Holio whooped their ass, pro se, with a motion of dismissal, which was granted. Fuck yeah. You know, I follow the law. And I expect others to do it as well. I expect others to do it as well. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not an agitator. But I don't even mind those negative terms because you know what? agitators, disruptors, they make good elected officials. They really, really do. You find out really quick where people stand, you know? So I don't give my name or my address. See if this towns are willing to violate my rights right out of the gate before I even have a chance to get to the podium. You also have freedom of speech. That's the whole thing. Legally, every municipality in New Jersey has to set aside a portion for public comments. So when you get up to that podium, your freedom of speech kicks in instantly. And if they attempt to get your name and your address from you, they attempt to violate your Fourth Amendment right, guess what? They're attempting to force your speech. That's why it's a First Amendment issue, because we have freedom of speech. You can't force my speech. The government cannot. The government shall never. So, I know I'm rambling, but I appreciate you guys, and I'm very passionate about this stuff. You know? I'm going to sign off now. I appreciate each and every one of you. Stay good, and we'll see you at the next one. Like I said, I'll be in North Plainfield on the 10th. I think Edison's on that same night, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend that one. Bridgewater, New Jersey is one I'm eyeballing. I've had a couple residents reach out to me, explaining some issues that's going on there. So I'd like to try to make my way over there at some point soon. And again, I have a full-time job. I've had a full-time job my whole adult life. But this shit's important to me. This shit's important to me. All right, thank you guys. Have a good night. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are the best.